Today we're releasing our business survey for the September quarter. Particularly for the September quarter, that deep blue bar shows that we're very weak in terms of what businesses were telling us in their trading and their expectations for the next quarter, particularly, which is that orange line, is not much more promising either, and that's particularly concerning as we're going into a December quarter, and hopefully with the seasonal spending that happens around that Christmas period. Also in the manufacturing sector generally is an up period as well. Surprisingly, the finance, property and business services sector, which is normally one of our most optimistic sectors and doing quite well over the last few years. As you can see in the September quarter, there's actually no blue line or blue bar there, because we just had many businesses telling things were up and then businesses telling things are down. Manufacturing sector, a lot of talk about the manufacturing sector, both locally and nationally, and what are we doing in terms of manufacturing. It's interesting in terms of whether we want to do any more manufacturing in this country. But certainly in the September quarter, when all the announcements were happening with BlueScope and what sort of things that's going to happen with the flow on from contractors and other fabricators, etc., we had an overall negative picture. Interestingly, it was only slightly negative, so we know there is some good things happening out there in some of our manufacturing areas, particularly those areas that are servicing our mining sector. Construction and transport, difficult one to get a grip on what's happening in terms of, particularly on the construction side. Very deep negative result that we got here in terms of the quarter that we've just gone through. And unfortunately, the poor old retail sector, or the services sector, probably less of the recreation, hospitality side, more of the retail side. Yes, being heavily small business based, is struggling considerably. September quarter, again another weak quarter, and even with December coming up, the forecast fortunately is heading in the right direction, but certainly they're not at the moment forecasting any real joy for the Christmas. More businesses putting people off than putting people on, and as you can see, that blue bar is well down and well below the zero net response mark, but certainly not getting down to the levels of job cuts that we saw during the GFC. Read into them what you like. We do try and trend them, but they remain quite stable at the moment in terms of our unemployment. And I suppose encouragingly, if you look at the job ads, this is from our own local paper, and this doesn't take into account the massive number of job ads that we've seen in our local Saturday edition over the last few weeks in response by the mining sector throughout Australia, looking for dislocated workers out of the steel industry. The blue line there, we'll just take for instance, which is the Illawarra region. And you can see the peak that we had when all that stimulus money was coming in, particularly with health and the education revolution, where all the schools were getting whatever they want built. If you just have a look what's in the pipeline for this region in terms of what's being considered, what's started, some things. Now, in terms of mining sector investment, I worked out there's about $500 million under review at the moment. So certainly I hear what John McEwen was saying before. There is opportunity out there, and as a region, if we work together, we'll strive and get good hold of that $3 billion of investment, generate jobs, generate activity, generate better lifestyle for the Illawarra.